This full moon is asking us to get really clear on what matters to us, our core values, that is, because this will define who we are in this next season of our life, our identity, what it is that we want to do, our goals, and how we want to do this with our light, our energy, our fire, because we are being propelled to let go of an old version of us, of ourselves, of our identity, in order to take action and move forward towards what it is that we are now being called towards. Hey everyone, this is Christine. Welcome to this video on the full moon in Leo, happening on January 25th at 12:53 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or New York City time for reference, at 5 degrees and 14 minutes of Leo. So to sum this up, I immediately got, as you see in the thumbnail, you've got only one suitcase. What are you going to pack for your soul journey forward? Because I feel like with the energies and with a lot of things that are happening with this lunation, especially since it's a full moon, we're being asked to release an outdated version of who we are. Also, this could include goals, plans, ambitions, trajectories, relationships, habits, etc. We're being asked to redefine who we are at this moment of our lives and where it is that we want to go. And that means getting very intentional, being purposeful, and choosing with consciousness what matters to us, what we want to do, and how we want to do that, because we don't have all the energy to expend or all the time to do everything that we want. And it's really about not just being selective, but about making sure that what we're doing is truly aligned to where it is that we want to go, especially in this season of our lives. So there's some tensions here relating to getting clear or gaining clarity on what it is that you want to do, to create, to achieve, to pursue, etc. And letting go of what no longer fits. This is very much similar to the energy, or very similar to the energy, I should say, of holding on to your favorite item of clothing, maybe a pair of jeans, or something that you used to love wearing, and maybe it's not even, it doesn't even fit. That's not even the issue. Maybe it's just so worn that you can no longer wear it. And something new has to replace that. And this is a similar vibe that I got with this lunation. This is a full moon for a reason, because we're letting go of how we used to be, how we identified, the persona we once held, or the identity or identities we held. And this is the larger overarching collective energies that I felt with this lunation. But in particular, wherever Leo is in your natal chart, you can get a more precise idea of what it is that you may be releasing and letting go, especially with how you related to that, how you showed up, how you were seen. There are some tense aspects with this lunation, and there's a push-pull energy, because whenever I feel energetically these challenging aspects, like squares or oppositions, and sometimes conjunctions, not always, for me it represents, okay, something has to give. I have to do this a different way. What am I learning? What's being highlighted to me? What is causing me to perhaps react in this way, or see things in a way I don't want to? Or maybe I have to approach this differently. There's something being highlighted here where it's usually some type of response or growth or lesson that's being activated, and that's asking us, well, you're stuck between this isn't going to go away, and neither is this, so what can you do? So there could be some type of reconciling maybe different belief systems, or acknowledging something from the past in order to move forward, because there's a lot of past and future energy happening here. The reason also too why I named this video the way that I did was that a lot of the energies too are asking us to be very precise in letting go what it is that we no longer need. And some of us have been carrying these things for a while. And when you take a trip, especially if you're being asked, okay, you only get one suitcase, pack what's most important. What would you pack? And this lunation is asking us to pack one suitcase forward. What would you pack? What's the most meaningful thing? That's why I mentioned what I did earlier about core values. This is going to be the lunation where you may release certain ways of identifying, of values that you once cherished or that you once really considered important in your life, but they no longer resonate with you. Perhaps you've transitioned into a new phase in your life. Your identity has shifted. Maybe you are an empty nester now, or you became a parent, or you started working full time, or you're a student, or you are retired, or whatever the case. There's a shift here happening with, I feel like, who we are, how we identify and see ourselves, and also too how it relates to our goals out in the world. So let's dive into this. We're gonna, as usual, look at the transits, these aspects, degree theory, Sabian symbols, numerology, channeled messages, especially songs. Timestamps are provided. I always link the, the lunation calendar, the lunar calendar below, and you can always change it to your time zone as well, so you can get a precise look at the energies where you're located at. So Leo is ruled by the sun, and this is a fixed, solid fire sign. So this is one that's very enduring, can go the distance, is someone that can usually complete work or put their energy towards something over a long period of time and get things done. And it keeps you going. It's almost like the Energizer Bunny. That's the energy here. Keywords associated with Leo include loyalty, courage, generosity, legacy, spirit, eternity, transcendence, royalty, fame, and authority. So there's an emphasis here too on legacy, or what's left behind and what we're working towards. That is something greater than what we may see at this moment. It's something that may be beyond us, perhaps for future generations, or something greater than that. The energy, passion, and drive forward is very much connected to what we know to be true in our heart and soul. So this is the spark, the fire, the flame, the initial feeling that we may get that arises within us. And something is coming alive here, but something is also changing. So something is also dying in the same way as well, because when something starts, something has to end, and vice versa. So this also brings up a moral, perhaps spiritual conviction that maybe others don't see, but also feel. And I feel like this full moon is asking us to really center ourselves, connect to our hearts, and to perhaps meditate or be silent and ask ourselves, what matters to me right now? What is important to me? Not to others or anyone else, but to me, because this is going to have a long-lasting impact, not just on my life, but on others and perhaps the world. And there's something that's going to be left as a result of this. So there's a meaning here about why we're doing what we're doing. We're not doing things just to be seen, just because it looks good. Because if we are, and if we're feeling any type of maybe despondence or disconnected reverberations, that's probably not the path we want to go on. This is also, like I mentioned earlier, a wonderful time to reassess your core values. And I feel like this lunation, a lot of folks are going to be releasing old identities, because I kept seeing the snake skin. You know, when the snake sheds its skin and it leaves it, I think it's molting, right? I kept seeing that. So for many folks, there's been so many energies where people have transitioned and have gone through. And when you learn and you grow and you develop, you become a new person, right? Or perhaps a more enhanced version, I should say. In this lunation, I feel like many folks are releasing past versions of themselves that no longer resonate to where they're going. So this is a simple question with the core values, but so many folks skip this area of really taking time to plan, to explore, to think about, and to connect with. And this is, I think, what causes some problems with goals going forward. And because Leo is ruled by the sun, and the sun is about our soul, our spirit, life force energy, among many other things, it's important to get clear on what you want, on what is important to you, because they're very much connected. Okay, let's take a look at these transits. I'm going to link the weekly energy forecast for the week of January 22nd through the 28th, because a lot of these transits I discussed too in greater detail, and so I'm going to try to keep them a little bit short. So we know this is a full moon. A full moon occurs when the sun and the moon are in opposition to one another. We have the sun in Aquarius, we have the moon in Leo. So there's tension here again. there's a push-pull energy between staying where we are, kind of staying comfortable, perhaps continuing in the same way or with the same identity or persona or values that we've always had. And perhaps we assume that they're going to carry us forward in the same way that they did in the past. There's a tension here with that and with progressing, going towards the future and doing things perhaps in a different way, especially when it comes to our overall life goals, ambitions, career. It could be leadership, where we put our energy, how we invest our time and energy, and how we use it. And so your needs too, your feelings, there may be some type of discomfort. Like I get a squished feeling, you know, when you're being squished, it's like, oh, I don't want to feel that. I want some more freedom to move. That's the energy that I felt here. And with the sun and the moon squaring Jupiter and Taurus, there's also a T-square that's being highlighted as well. And I got the energy here of we want it all. We may be wanting to do things that we've always done in the past in the same way and pursuing things for the longest time simply because we think or we feel like it's important. And maybe it looks good or it's important to family or in some way we assign some type of meaning to it. And in reality, this illumination is asking us, well, wait, is it really important to you? Is what you're doing something that truly matters to you, or is it something that matters to someone else and you matter to them? And it's different because sometimes we take on goals, trajectories, belief systems, etc., the whole gamut from other people because we love them, we care about them, but they're not ours. And we can do it for so many reasons beyond the scope of this video, but it could be to please them. It could be to honor them. It could be to forgive them. It could be to carry on some type of legacy, etc. My apologies, you guys, my phone is plugged in and the cord is short, so it's right in front of me. So anytime I move, it moves. So again, there's a tension of, okay, you know, I've known this, it feels safe to stay here, but I'm just feeling like this isn't it for me anymore. We've outgrown it. And at the same time, it's like, well, wait a minute. What do we do now going forward? That means resurrecting or creating a new system of values. That means, in essence, that our goals can change as a result and what we do and how we move forward, and also to who we are and how we identify. So there's a lot of energies here that are asking us to really deeply reflect and think about who are we at this time? How have we changed? Because we've changed a shit ton, whether from the last lunation, 6 months ago, last year, the last 2-3 years, and just think even beyond. So be careful of trying to take everything on. That's why I mentioned the suitcase metaphor. This is the lunation to get very precise with yourself and ask what matters to me, and anything that doesn't, it's time to let that go. It's time to either put it on pause or to say, you know what, we're going to revisit that another time, or I'm done with this. So with this energy, you could be bringing in some things that you've been doing, but your soul is calling you to transform in a way that's doing things very differently, that's looking at things with a new lens, with fresh new energy, and perhaps approaching what you've always done in a new way that's going to help you propel forward, because your soul wants to grow here and also wants to let go of something. It's kind of like carrying, it's kind of like carrying groceries in a paper bag. Sometimes when there's too much or there's condensation and it's wet, the paper bag becomes soggy and the food starts ripping through the bag, and all of a sudden the food, everything just spills out and you're like, crap, because you can't save the paper bag once everything comes out. And so you've got food everywhere. So be really careful with this particular transit about not taking on too much, not trying to take everything from the past and bringing it forward, not stuffing your life suitcase with everything that you want to pursue and want to be, because that could cause overwhelm, it could cause burnout. More importantly, it can also cause you to become more perhaps distant, detached, and in a way disconnected from what it is that you truly want to do. So use this energy, this is going to sound cliche, to connect to your heart. Ask yourself, what is it right now that I am really feeling called to change in my life? Because with the release of the full moon, we're changing something, we're releasing something. And it doesn't have to be something grandeur, it could be something like a belief system, which is still deep in itself. It It could be letting go of a pattern. It could be letting go of certain ways of relating or being or people, whatever it is. And however this is affecting you, there's some change that is needed or being called to you because your soul wants to move in a new direction. With the sun in Aquarius conjoining Pluto in Aquarius, we have a fresh new slate here. So there's energy here where our soul's like, yes, go get that. It's time for something brand new, for something innovative, for doing something that's going to push the envelope perhaps forward, but it's going to give us a lot of energy and momentum to do things in a different way, but that's going to make progress. It's going to move you forward. Some of you may have felt like you've been stuck in the past for a long time, or you've been living in almost your own bubble of the past where things are just repeating and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not seeing anything new. This lunation is asking you to release those outdated beliefs, persona, identity of who you were and how you function in this world, especially with your energy. I also feel like with the sun and Pluto here, there's a deep dive and reflective review process happening where you are taking stock of everything that you've done, you've learned, what you've pursued up till now, accomplished, not just for internal validation, more so for, am I feeling like I'm going in the right direction? Does this feel good to me? Or does this feel overwhelming? Do I feel pressure? Do I feel stress? Because the feeling aspect is going to really give you a clue as to whether or not you're headed in the direction that your soul wants to go into. I'm not talking about when you're a student and school is hard and you're like, oh, this exam. No, you'll feel it if you're like, you know what, I don't feel like I'm supposed to be doing what I'm doing. I feel like I'm getting called to maybe work with animals or do this or do that. You'll feel it. And so this is about honoring your heart, being authentic to yourself, because there's something larger here that is connected to what's meaningful to you. With this energy, you can also use it to finish up or wrap up any commitments, to clean up, to declutter, and to let go. With the moon in Capricorn opposing Pluto in Aquarius, we want safety, but in a different way. And I feel like sometimes when we're changing, it can bring up a lot of emotions where we know we want to change, but we're comfortable with the old, right? We're comfortable with the old pair of socks or clothing that we have. For me, it's always clothing because there's something sensory and very reminiscent of comfort of the past, of nostalgia with clothing. For others, it could be something very different. But I say that because with the moon, we may find sanctuary and safety in some element of the past. That means it could impinge or hinder our identity or development going forward. And here with Pluto and Aquarius, Pluto is like, go that way. Your heart is calling you to move forward, to do something differently here, not to stay in your comfort zone. And going into uncharted territories or doing things differently, it's uncomfortable, simple, plain and simple. But it's about doing it just slowly and methodically, so long as it's connected to your values and what it is you would like to pursue and follow. So again, there's going to be time and a lot of moments of reflection during this full moon, like any full moon in Leo, to really get clear and think about what's important to me, and as a result, what goals or what intentions would I like to set, and where would I like to continue moving forward. We also have Mercury in Capricorn conjoining Mars in Capricorn, so this is a great time to solidify your plans as well. I feel like during the next 2 weeks with these energies, with the full moon in Leo, it's going to be a lot of shifting. And I got that because with the weekly energy forecast for the week of January 22, with the tarot reading that I did, there's a lot of energies that were coming up and that were provoking shifts, pivots, and changes. What you may initially thought you wanted to do at the beginning of the year, for example, may change after this lunation, like many lunations. You may realize, actually, no, especially since life is not linear. It would be cool if it was and we could checklist things, but a lot of times as humans, that's where free will comes into play and where we can change our minds and we can say, I don't want to do that anymore. This energy gives us, again, focus and drive to say, you know what, I'm connecting to this and I would like to do this. And it means getting clear again on what you want, creating some type of game plan, because it starts with values. That's really our compass. You can think of it like the heart of your journey, and then your goals, and then some type of game plan or roadmap on how to pursue those goals. So if you haven't really set any goals for the year or whatever time frame that feels good for you, whether it's a week, a month, a quarter, a year, this is going to be a great time to do that with the full moon in Leo. We also have Mercury in Capricorn trining Uranus and Taurus. So here we are getting new and profound insights, psychic messages, resources, perhaps assistance from beyond, but also in a practical sense here that is going to help you, I feel, accelerate in many ways what it is that you want to do, how you want to express that and communicate that, and how you want to go about taking action in this area. Because this can include studying, teaching resources, reading, consulting any digital types of resources like podcasts, YouTube videos, what other ones, blogs, writing, etc., books. With Mercury in Capricorn and Mars in Capricorn, both are squaring the North Node and Chiron in Aries. So I mentioned this in greater detail in the weekly energy forecast, but we're also dealing with elements from the past that may almost hook us, like holding us back, that may bring up points of rumination, of anger, of remembering, triggers, if you will. And what this is really calling for us is to resolve those in a way that allows us to say, you know what, this doesn't have power over me. This is not going to hold me back. I can rewrite this narrative in order to move forward with the North Node in Aries, because some of this may be tied to your childhood, to your family system, to your caretakers, the way you grew up, or to systems around you, whether that was your education or schooling or different institutions. It could be your country, your culture, different traditions, community, etc. There's many different levels here. So this is all about responding differently. So parts of, and this is, I think, the irony with humans, we hold on to a lot of things that we know don't help us, that don't feel good, that aren't fond memories, and we hold on to them, which causes many times more pain, more triggers, when realizing that we don't have to keep re-traumatizing ourselves with those narratives, with those stories and those memories, because we can't change that anymore. There's nothing we can do about the past. The only thing moving forward is to accept and acknowledge it. And remember, acceptance is never about, oh, that's okay. It's not saying that, simply saying, you know what? This happened. I can't change it. It doesn't mean it was good. It doesn't mean it was bad. It doesn't mean that I condone it. It doesn't mean that I forgive it. It doesn't mean any of that. It simply means it is what it is. It happened. But acknowledging that and accepting that is one way, or perhaps the first way, in moving forward. So there's an element with this lunation about still having like your sweater, your foot stuck in the past, and resolving that with these triggers. And again, with Chiron and North Node in Aries, this isn't going to be a 1 week thing, and it's going to vary for everyone depending on where you are, and it's okay. This isn't a race. It's never a competition either with others. It's always about you with you and how much you're growing within your own journey. So only you will be able to say, wait a minute, I felt that ding. I know that trigger. I've seen it again, or I'm getting pain again. How can I express this differently that's going to allow me to accelerate in my journey, to move essentially towards where I want to go instead of holding me back? So this is another way we can empower ourselves, is doing things differently, responding differently, and asking ourselves, I know a lot of shit happened. I feel hurt. We can take time to process it, to acknowledge it. A lot of this also entails reparenting ourselves and learning new ways of identifying and creating new identities for ourselves, especially with Chiron in Aries and even the North Node, because we're individuating our own paths, perhaps separate from where we came from, who we were told we had to be, or the family system that we grew up in, where everyone had to perhaps behave or operate in a similar way. Something here that I kept getting to was Mercury and Mars, both in Capricorn, were coughing up this crap to release it, especially with Pluto having just left Capricorn and entering Aquarius, and it'll be returning back into Capricorn in September. So we are in the final stages here, and wherever Pluto and Capricorn has been in your chart, and especially too with Aries, are being highlighted different wounds and pains and things that you have been transforming for quite a long time. So this is like the fireworks show that I mentioned, I think in a few weekly energy forecasts ago. You know, when fireworks shows come onto display and they're about to end, a lot of them start going off. This is a finale. So shit starts coming off, it's popping off, it's like triggering you. It's like the way I interpret it and feel it, it's like the universe saying, okay, pop quiz, big pop quiz, let's see what you're learning, what's happening, how are you reacting? Because if you're still reacting in the same way, there's something that you may not be seeing. And Pluto, at its very essence, simply wants us to evolve and say, you know what, you got this. And being a human, if you realize this already, it's a challenge. There's a lot of stuff because we have emotions as humans. If we didn't have emotions, perhaps this journey would be very different. So this week, take a look at any issues that come up from the past, especially as they relate to identity. A lot of themes around identity, who you are, who you want to be, who you were, who others ascribed you to be, or what persona they put onto you, and what you don't want to relate to anymore, because you have that choice now as an adult. And I assume many folks that are watching this are adults. You have that choice now to decide for yourself who you want to be going forward. This is a wonderful time to rewrite the narrative on how you express and relate to your feelings and emotions, especially anger, how you process it, because anger is a healthy emotion. It's simply letting us know something hurt me. Something or someone has hurt me, past, present. Something has violated my boundaries, or I've allowed someone to violate my boundaries. And it's letting us know, wait, we got to do something here, because it's asking us, where do we need more protection? Where do we need more safeguarding? Where can we parent ourselves in a different way? So think about how you've expressed anger and how you can do that in a different way, especially if you're still processing things that are coming up. With these energies, this is, again, a wonderful time to just get the energy out as it comes up. Crying, you can use music, different creative expressions, writing, like poetry. A lot of folks channel that into beautiful creative outlets. It could be private use, or you can share it with others, but songwriting, journaling, poetry, creative writing, dancing, exercise, prayer, meditation. You can also engage in different elements. You can write, especially if it's about a person or situation, like write everything you want to, and you can burn it and release the ashes in a ritual or ceremony. You can take a bath. So there's many different ways to work with this energy. Moving forward, we have Venus in Capricorn trining Jupiter in Taurus. So this brings a social element surrounding this lunation. So being with others, especially those that are supporting you, and calling in others that are supporting you, may be especially therapeutic and cathartic during this time. Also, taking time to pamper yourself, to indulge and take care of yourself. This is a huge self-parenting like bubble. You know, in cartoons how they have the bubbles and they have like what people are thinking. Well, Venus trine Jupiter is like, you know what? Focus on you. It's time to pamper yourself. Get your butt. If you need to sleep and want to take a nap, do that. No alarm. If you want to get a massage, do that. If you want to talk to someone, grab your journal and do it. This is a time for you. So during this lunation, make time. Find time, however much you can, and do something that really allows you to feel good. We also have Venus sextiling Saturn and Pisces. So there's a disciplined demeanor here, especially with responsibilities and commitments around Venusian themes, around finances, money, love, romance, relationships, pleasures, art, beauty, etc. Also values, something that's been highlighted for weeks now. This is a cleanup energy too. With Saturn, especially going through some of these wounds and triggers and things that are coming up, I felt energetically for many folks, it's going to be the last leg. We're going to have a lot of last legs as Capricorn leaves Pluto. And with many of these cycles, with the lunations coming forward or coming up. So you're going to have a lot of last moments with different triggers, and it's going to be very rewarding. You'll be like, yes, I did it. And it's a cause for celebration. It's really important to celebrate yourself and really acknowledge how far you've come, and to say, you know what? I just almost did a whole onion with this particular pain point or this trauma. And you deserve to acknowledge yourself, because I'll say the past decade or so has been really hard for so many of us. There's been so much. The human journey is not an easy one. So this is a great time during this lunation to clean up and to let yourself not just indulge in feeling good, but also getting rid of things that don't. We have Mars in Capricorn trining Uranus in Taurus, wiping the slate clean here. This is trying new things. Again, there's a lot of energy of really asking ourselves what we don't want anymore. And you'll get that with things that are repeating. That's a really big sign. If things are repeating and you're like, why is this happening to me? Take a step back. And I'm pretty practical, which is why I always say, get a piece of paper out. Nothing fancy, get paper out and write down, especially with patterns in different areas of your life, what's been happening, what's been going on, and see if you can find a common denominator, common numerator. More than likely you will. You'll see something and you're like, oh crap. Maybe I've been violating my own boundaries or allowing people to do this or whatever it is. And it simply means, okay, we got to make a little tweak here. So with this energy, there's something that you may be feeling called to do in a very new way. And you may feel, it's like saying, you know what, I'm done hanging out with this group. I'm done reading these books. I'm going to try a new genre. I'm going to try a new group. And with Uranus, I feel like this is going to inject new, fresh energy for you that's going to provide momentum going forward, especially with the recreation, updating of who you are, your energy, your life force energy, your identity in the season of your life. So follow your intuition here, especially if something feels a little bit odd and you're like, oh, I don't think other people will get it. It's interesting because I gave this example in one of my weekly energy readings. Sometimes we don't know why, but we feel called to get off an exit and go put gas in our car at a gas station we never visit, or we feel called to go to the grocery store, and whatever. We get these impulsive, intuitive inklings, as I call them. And then something miraculous happens. We'll run into people we know, we'll get new insights, we'll hear something we needed to hear. We may meet someone who knows someone at a job you're applying to, whatever it is. It's those types of golden nuggets, wisdom, internal wisdoms that I always say pay attention to. So pay attention during this lunation, what comes up for you. And always trust yourself, because it's really easy to doubt yourself when you get this. Finally, we have Jupiter in Taurus, sextiling Saturn in Pisces. And I have here, because I always put little mantras or mottos next to these transits, we're ready. We have practical and psychic and intuitive energy here, lending support to what we want to accomplish, explore, learn about, expand. Perhaps do things in a different way, but in a way that's going to lend to tremendous growth and sustainability in a more practical way, but that's connected to perhaps creative and spiritual pursuits through these messages that we're getting, perhaps in different ways. Think about the different ways everyone receives psychic messages differently, through dreams, telepathy, through other people, through animals. We have different clairs, etc. So pay attention to what you're getting, because a lot of this is allowing you to pin this in a more down-to-earth way. You're going to be able to put this in a more rooted, grounded way where you can actually, almost like pulling a cloud down and saying, okay, this is my one dream. Let's write this down and see how we can start taking practical steps. So there's a lot going on here simultaneously with this lunation. And a lot of times when there's a lot of wounds, pains coming up, it's easy to escape. It's easy to not want to feel. And with the moons, with all the moons, it's important to feel. That's really what's being highlighted, the basic level of lunations. It's feeling it. And when you feel that energy and you release it, you processed it. And that's one of the first steps. So the overall message here is we're ready to let go of an old version of ourselves, whether it's something someone else has put onto us or something we thought we were, but we're letting that go. And we're creating or recreating a new identity for ourselves. Let's move on to the degree theory. And this is the 5th degree, and this is the Leo degree. So some themes associated. So these themes, pay attention, and I include this because these could be some of the themes that are coming up for you and some energies too. So we have love, affairs, mistresses, partners who we date, highest quality, top tier, secondary education, tourism, vacations, in the sun, summer day, a hill on a slope, pubs, restaurants, karaoke, acting, theater, drama, stadiums, sports facilities, gold, golden, professor, father, to rule, high-ranking positions, proud, dignified, hair or mane, like a lion's mane, a mane, and this is a fame degree too, which could indicate, depending on which planetary or celestial body is ascribed or connected to this degree, some type of fame through others or through what it is that you do. So it's interesting what comes up. A lot of this revolves around ourselves, our pleasures, where we experience joy, happiness. Think of the sun. It's very healing because there's a lot of elements here of healing. A lot of us are going to be healing, crying, releasing, and it's almost like stripping away, akin to like the snake molting its skin or a chemical peel. Those foot peel things people have? They put their foot in it, in that booty, and then the foot peels like 2 weeks later. It's like that. You get a new foot, well, a new skin. It's more, what is it? The dermis has been removed, and so the outer layer is now like baby skin. It's like that. So there's something here about being seen for who you are. And there's a level of authenticity that is connected to this lunation. So some of you are releasing masks. And I don't say that in a bad way. It could simply mean maybe you used a certain persona to cover yourself for fear, insecurity, for protection, for a variety of reasons. And you're ready to step into the version that you want to be seen as or for, or that you relate to. So there's a lot of almost like reinvention energy here, but it's very much connected to what feels true for you. This isn't reinventing or appearing to be someone just for the sake of it. It's not keeping up with the Joneses energy either, because if it feels artificial or false, you can be sure it's not part of your path. It's not going to, develop in the way that you want. We have the Sabian symbol for this lunation at 6 degrees of Leo. And this is an old-fashioned conservative woman is confronted by an up-to-date girl. I'm like, what a title. So the symbol speaks of being prepared. This thing keeps shaking. The symbol speaks of being prepared to integrate the conservative and the new, the young and the old, and the tried and true with the more innovative. Side note, so you see the dualities here, past and present. There's something about merging the two where you can have a respect and healthy reserve or a reservation for the past, like an honor, a nod. But you're like, you know what? We're going to take that and I'm moving forward and creating my own. You may find yourself faced with choices around these issues. Although both camps hold promise and reward, it is the best qualities of both that is the proper compromise. I keep getting weddings, so some of you may be preparing for weddings, wanting to get married, focused on love, romance, relationships, but I know they do something about something old, something blue, and it's like that, where you combine different elements. You're still you. So a nod to the past, to the future, while you develop right now in the present. Even though your habits may be ingrained, there comes a time when you are faced with issues from another perspective. If something or someone is confronting you, remember that often what confronts or bothers us about others really shows issues that have to be examined about ourselves. It may be time to smarten up your act. Conservative inertia being challenged by the constantly changing, learning to let one's hair down, issues of age and what one is capable of, renovations, ideas challenged. Other themes also include denying the duality within oneself, being afraid to get out there, afraid of age or being usurped by younger, more vital energies, envy, fear, jealousy, adversaries. So the takeaway here is there's tension about being true to yourself versus others, and this speaks to loyalty on the part of you, to yourself. So you owe it to yourself in this lifetime to go after what it is that you want, what you truly desire, not what others want for you, not what others think is good for you or what looks good. So this is really speaking loudly. Some of you are also confronting different forms of maybe imposter syndrome, different forms of fears or insecurities about yourself and being seen. But it's not so much being seen like being blasted on social media or a podium. It's being seen by others and recognized as someone that's truly a creation of their own. So this lunation is associated with the numerology of 5, and there's also a very strong emphasis on Leo energy. So there's a lot of Leo influence with this lunation in Leo. So it's really very indicative of a realignment here, or a refamiliarity with your soul purpose, your soul essence, your energy, your life trajectory. So the 5 is associated with Leo as a 5th zodiac sign. And here we have elements of passion, excitement, adventure, vigor, transformation, curiosity, shifts. 5 is also associated with changes. Like I mentioned earlier, I feel like for many folks, this is a change having to do with their persona, their identity right now in this season of their life and who they are going forward. So this is about making adjustments. The numerology of 5 is someone who is open to spontaneity and adventure. They can pivot or make adjustments and look at life in different ways to provide that source of inspiration and perhaps enjoyment, joy, fun. There's also a strong connection here to Mercury as well. So communication, analytical thinking, and expression are going to be very important. And we have that has been highlighted with several of the transits I already mentioned. So loyalty and value around commitments are going to be important, especially with people and experiences, but also with the self. I channeled during this section, I channeled the book by Maya Angelou, her autobiography, I Know Why the Caged Birds Sing, from 1969, which really details her life from the ages of 3 to, I believe it's 16. And it's interesting because I'm realizing a lot of the folks that I channel tend to have some connection to the sign of the lunation that's being discussed. And Maya was an Aries sun, and Aries is exalted, or the sun is exalted in Aries. And she's a Leo ascendant. So some of you, there's something about expression of perhaps your past, your pain, your life story, memoirs coming through, or writing that out. It doesn't have to be for publishing. Although I feel for many of you, there's some type of expression that's wanting to come out. Maybe talking about your life in series or helping others. And when I say series, I meant like a series of blog posts or articles or chapters or vignettes or podcasts. But there's something here that's coming through about detailing what it is that you've experienced, processed, grown, transformed, and healed, because the process in itself is going to be very cathartic and therapeutic. And that could be something that's going to help you release this, but also honor this part of you. Some channeled messages that we got. There were a bunch of songs that were mixed in with the channeled messages, so I'm just going to bring them up as they come up. The song that kept playing when I was meditating was Semisonic. Semisonic. I hope I said that right. Closing Time from 1998. And I kept hearing the lyrics. Because a lot of times some of the songs that play, I'm familiar with this one, but some songs that play, I'm like, I've heard this song or I haven't and I don't know this, but I always hear the lyrics. So that's how I'm able to Google it and then I hear the song play because it plays like a jukebox for me. The lyrics, the excerpt from the lyrics that I have here is closing time. Time for you to go out to the places you will be from. Closing time, this room won't be open till your brothers or sisters come. So gather up your jackets, move it to the exits. I hope you have found a friend. Closing time, every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. Yeah. Main message here is it's time to move on to the next juncture of your soul journey. And it's interesting because each lunation, I feel like it's pushing us more and more, but it's asking us to also be braver. When I did research on this song, the band's main songwriter and frontman, Dan Wilson, he apparently wrote this song, this track, in 20 minutes, really quickly, because the group was touring and they wanted a new closing track while they were singing. So oftentimes they denoted, and I got the research from the American songwriters. And if any of you want me to reference this, let me know. But I have all my footnotes, actually in parenthetical citations, because I include them within. They often said that they played the songs in bars when they were closing, so it often became an anthem. For those that were part of that bar culture scene, they often heard this song, Semisonic song, Closing Time, which indicated, hey, we're about to close, guys. So this also resonated with them because they also played in bars apparently during their beginnings, during the early times of the band's life. So Dan Wilson also said there was another meaning, a more deeper meaning to this, because his wife was pregnant at the time with their first child, which is interesting because Leo rules over the heart, and it's oftentimes associated with the fifth house, but those are conflations folks have made, which fifth house is a lot about creation. Anyways, he said it was a huge life shift for him, and that's why he wrote the lyrics that he did, because when you become a parent and have a child, it's a major life change. And he wrote, quote, "It's all about being born and coming into the world, seeing the bright lights, cutting the cord, opening up into something deeper and more universal," unquote. So this is the same energy with this lunation. Some of you, I feel, are going to be reborn because you are cultivating a new sense of perhaps purpose, but energy, identity. You're simply changing. You've grown a lot. And when you take that time to say, this is who I am, and I'm creating this for myself, independent or separate from this system or these people or whomever, it feels incredibly empowering and bold. And it's also a very authentic and vulnerable move. Some of you are cutting the cord to many things from the past, including who you were or identified with. His daughter Coco was born prematurely and was kept at the hospital nearly a year postpartum. And he wrote the line in the song, "I know who I want to take me home," was in reference to Dan Wilson's way of having faith and hope that his daughter was going to be okay and make it out and recover and, come home as a baby. Ironically, perhaps not ironically, the song Closing Time was released the day that his daughter was released from the hospital. So the overall message here is there's an ending and a way of life for you, and it has a very profound impact or profound ramifications because, like I mentioned already, it's like being reborn and going down the canal, birth canal, or the slide, or going into the light. And you're seeing something yourself in a different way. You're seeing the world in a new way as a result. So this lunation is allowing us to see the world in a way that we haven't before. So I channeled 3 messages with this lunation. The first message I got was soul and soul purpose. So soul as in S-O-U-L and S-O-L-E. I saw it just for a quick glimpse. I thought I was talking about the fish, and then I'm like, no, I wasn't. I was corrected quickly. This is a reminder for some folks that you're conflating your soul, like who you are as an energy body, and your soul purpose, thinking that there's only one thing you're here to do. Because the main goal or purpose as souls here in human bodies is simply to create and share our innate gifts. Because I kept getting, those nerd candies? They're really cute. They're little nerds, almost like they have noses on little round bodies, and they pop, they move around. And to me, that represents, they're like little love bubbles. We're here to realize not just that we're love and that we're bubbles of this jubilant, buoyant energy, which many of us are coming back to, hence a lot of the unprogramming and healing and all of that. But we're also here to share in that joy and who we are, because we're all unique soul prints. We're all unique energies. So I got so much with this just because I have here, some of you may be wanting to do something more visible, like content creation, or put yourself out there, especially in this day and age of digital, virtual media and technology. Just because a lot of people create content doesn't mean that it's going to be the same. And I'll just say, example, astrology, just one of many examples. There's so many different types of content and content creators. Simple living is another one. The people that like doing the lifestyle, everyone has their own unique flavor, their own unique energy about it, and no one person is the same. Astrology is a prime example. Take a look at the many different types of astrology that exist, the many different ways people express, talk about it, create content. There are so many different types, and that's the main point of this message that I got. Some folks, I've been getting the energy that you may think there's no room for you. You may think, oh, if I call myself this, it's not going to matter because people are already doing it, or it's been done. It has been done, and it's going to continue being done, but it's not been done your way. It hasn't been done with your flavor, your scent. I keep getting that. Kind of like different chocolate flavors or vanilla. There's so many different types and brands. The same thing with scents. Think about colognes or perfumes. Everyone has their own unique signature. And so for any of you that have been perhaps saying, I can't do this, there's no space for me, or no, there's not enough room, or that's not true. The main point of this is, no, you have something to provide. You have something amazing to gift the world and to create. And you're also here to contribute your unique signature. I was going to say flavor, but it makes it sound like we're food. So some of you need to be reminded that there's also room for you too in this world and whatever you want to pursue. And I have here in my notes, like fill in the blank, whether you're wanting to pursue rapping or writing or dancing. And how you contribute that is going to be unique to you. That's the thing. So soul purpose is different for everyone, and it doesn't have to be the same. Like folks make it out to be. It also doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be something big. Because the main energy I kept feeling is the soul lighting up like a light bulb or the sunshine of the element. There's a sense of joy, of happiness. It's healing. It feels warm, right? So if you aren't feeling those same themes, or it's not resonating with you in that same way, it's not feeling warm, you're not lighting up, you're not feeling joyful, then keep going, because that may not be it for you. Doesn't mean that you won't experience challenges. This is something to get clear about. I find, for example, a lot of joy in creating content. Doesn't mean that it doesn't go without challenges. I've experienced a lot of tech challenges. Sometimes things erase and I'm like, oh shit, I have to start again. Whatever. It's like that. You're going to have these things, but it's part of the process itself. So I want to remind you. So let go of ascribed and prescribed ways of being, especially when it comes to who you are, your goals, and what it is you want to do. I also got here, some of you are closeting your true ambitions, and it's hampering your soul. Because I kept seeing dark, heavy curtains, like the blackout curtains, those velvet curtains, those heavy, dark ones, not the transparent see-through kinds. So really take time for yourself and explore what you're being guided to do, what feels good, what brings you joy, what makes sense to you, not anyone else. Leo energy, it's shining a light on you. And you alone, that's the thing. No one else. This has nothing to do with your siblings, your family, your friends, your significant other, your children, your pet, nothing. It's about you. I sense with this lunation, many folks are going to have job, work, career changes because the sun rules over the career too. And it doesn't always mean the same. Having a job and a career and work aren't always the same. Sometimes people have jobs simply because it pays the bills. And they're doing something different that's really connected to their joy, to their heart. Just because you work in an ordinary job doesn't mean that you are ordinary or aren't contributing what you desire. It has nothing to do with the external circumstances, accolades, or what others think. Some of you are content doing very simple, mundane tasks, working in small shops, working 9 to 5s, because it works for you and you enjoy it. And I want to say that's okay too. There's a lot of energy that I got around this. So this is going to take some unpacking for you, especially if you have preconceived notions or limiting beliefs around this. Because in our society, people are constantly pushing 6 figures, happiness, looking a certain way, having all these material possessions and all this bullshit. And it's crap. It's going to be very different for everyone. And I think it's really important to listen to yourself and pay attention to what you truly resonate with. Message number 2, strike a match. I saw a match here, and this was very precise. And then I heard Madonna's song, Vogue. And I initially wrote in my notes, strike a pose. And I'm like, wait, that's not the title. But that's how I found the lyric, because I'm like, oh, Vogue. So I heard a lot of Madonna songs throughout this as well, like a jukebox. And I'm like, I don't know why she's coming through. Anyways, I continued forward. Madonna's a Leo sun. Venus, a Leo Venus, and a Leo Uranus. No surprise, huh? Everyone's pretty familiar with Madonna, so maybe this is why she came through, but also very unique career that she paved out. She always stuck to herself. Her creative expression is very different. And we have other artists too. So it was just interesting how Vogue came out, and I did more research on this song, which is interesting because I didn't know this about this. Madonna was apparently interested in voguing at a club in New York City during this time, and it inspired her to sing this song, and I think she co-wrote this with some others. So Vogue dancing is a modern house dancing that stemmed from the 1980s, and it originated from the Harlem ballroom scene of the 60s, and it was like a created subculture of the underground, or I'm saying that wrong, it created an underground subculture of BIPOC folks, particularly Black and Latino LGBTQ plus communities, and it showcased a different form of self-expression, creative expression, artistry, because it allowed these folks to really conceptualize, express, communicate, and display their way of identity, their way of relating and showing who they were as people in a more authentic way, and also belonging and valuing who they were just as humans in a time and also a place when the world didn't always see that in them. So the message overall with this song, Vogue, is about being brave and bold, however you define that, and putting yourself out there, which has nothing to do with others seeing you. It's putting yourself in a position to do things differently for yourself. It could be your career, your main life goal, your ambitions, your soul trajectory, or whatever it is. But you're saying, you know what? That old me doesn't fit me anymore. Maybe the old you was a couch potato that loved crispy potato chips and watching TV all day long. I'm just giving up an example that just came. Maybe new you was like, gets up at 8, goes walking, eats yummy food, maybe watches one show a day. So there's something here that's about saying, you know what, I'm shifting who I am, and the world is going to see this. And that could be the scary part, especially if you've had people that have told you that they think you're a certain way, or you can only be this way, or they've told you, or they put some type of moniker or name or mantra or motto around who you are. You know how people put nicknames around people? Something like that. And if you've ever seen the video for Vogue, and we just know in general, Madonna is a huge element of pop culture and the music scene, and she was always pushing the button, the envelope. I was going to say the elevator, but I don't think that's a saying. She was always pushing things that were different during that time, and that's what made her stand out. But look how much she's evolved too, and this energy is telling you, you too can evolve in this way too. Tremendous creative energy here that I felt. So those of you that are interested, connected to, or want to pursue music, modeling, posing, because there's different modeling. Like I kept getting hand, foot, different body parts, but also to body, like the models. I'm not familiar with the technical terms, but the ones who walk on runways and who show clothing and all of that. Writing, creation, any artistry, anything. In essence, you can say a lot of things are art because it's a creation of yourself. A lot of creative energy I felt with this lunation too. Leo is ruled by the sun again, so the heart and soul, ambition, drive, energy, creation are very important elements here. So some of you may be inspired to take a look or connect to Madonna and some of these songs that I'm mentioning. I feel like many of her songs. Message number 3, open your heart. I heard the song Open Your Heart. And this song is about being vulnerable in love and romance. Upon further research, and I was listening to the lyrics, because it's been a minute since I've listened to this song, and it has very strong sexual innuendos, but the way that I heard this wasn't how or what the lyrics said. It had to do with being vulnerable. And it's about being vulnerable with yourself and showing up in the world in the way that you want to show up. And sometimes that can be scary. Because again, this lunation, for me, this is what I'm feeling generally, is we're letting go of just an old version of ourselves, a piece of ourselves that we used to be or that we thought we were, that some others put on us. And we're like, wait, this isn't me. And sometimes it's like saying, like, when you shift into a profession, and maybe you used to work in architecture, now you are a photographer. It could be weird calling yourself a photographer, right? Sometimes the shift in identities takes a while. So in the same vein, this is what I got with Open Your Heart. There's a vulnerability here about showing others, but more importantly, showing yourself. Like, this is who I am. This is who I align myself to be, especially with these goals and with these values that are important. And I kept getting that this speaks about frequency of love, all kinds. Love to self, love to others. So there's elements of healing, vulnerability, forgiveness, compassion, and honoring yourself here. Because when you're true to yourself and allow yourself to be seen for who you are, it's incredibly freeing. And it also lights you up. You feel that. Have you ever met someone where you're like, wow, you can just feel that person's radiance, that energy light up? They're different. And someone who just tries to cover it up or act a certain way, you can feel that. There's like a tension there. This could be what could be so scary with this message that I channel about opening your heart, because you risk criticism. It's kind of like here with some things that I'm doing on my channel and some videos that I have that I've been creating about sharing more of my personal stories and wisdom. I'm like, ooh, this is vulnerable because I'm sharing parts of myself, and you open yourself up to a lot. And in the same vein, when you shift identities, it happens too. Or when you do something new or different, or you change careers, or you travel to a new place, whatever it is, you open yourself up. But this is precisely that bold, courageous energy that's being embodied and imbued and called forth with this Leo energy. Because we're releasing something and at the same time simultaneously creating, fomenting. It's like churning, kind of like butter or ice cream. In the same manner. You may, if you haven't already, be experiencing heart chakra activations, I should say. Heart pumping, of course, disclaimer, I'm not a medical doctor, so make sure if you're feeling a little bit off, get checked by your medical team, doctor, mental health person, if you're connected to that. But some of you may be feeling like heart palpitations, flutterings, and it could bring up signs related to the past, especially around Chiron and some of the nodal energies around getting hurt again, rejection, abandonment, criticism, depending on where this is being highlighted in your life. So if you've been burned too many times and you've closed your heart on what you truly desire, this could be a lunation that you strongly feel and connect with, and you're like, wow. It's kind of like a butterfly in slow motion opening up, or the flowers where you see they open up fast, but in reality it's been weeks or months. You see them sprouting, or blooming is the word. That's it. So it's time to thaw your heart and feel, and it could take some practice and take steps and slowly allowing yourself to be vulnerable in different ways. And that could mean reading a new book, talking to someone new, saying hi to a stranger, whatever it is that you are focused on shifting in your life, practicing, wanting to improve. These are different things that you could do to practice. I also have here, you can practice opening your heart by feeling. So you can do this in many different ways. Think about what makes you feel joyful. And I'll tell you a personal story that I connected with just a few days ago. I've been having like a shitty time, a lot of things I've been going through, and I'm like, what the hell? And I decided, okay, I had to return some things to the pet store for my dogs because it got really cold here where I'm at, and I had to get them jackets. So I returned 2 jackets that didn't fit. And when I was there, I asked the salesperson, I'm like, can I hold the guinea pigs? Because it was a pet store. And they're like, yeah. So we went over and he opened the container and I got to hold my first hairless guinea pig and I fell in love. And I was just so joyful. I felt like a little kid. I was so excited. I wanted to adopt the guinea pigs right there. And I'm like, no, that's a rash decision because it takes, after doing research, it takes some effort and they deserve good homes and space. But anyways, I felt so connected. I felt such a calling to the guinea pig. I was just so joyful. I was so excited. I don't think I've experienced that type of joy in a long time. And I felt my heart opening up. I was just so on like a high of joy for the rest of the day and even now thinking about it. And I even downloaded a picture from Instagram of a hairless guinea pig. They're really cute. If you've never seen one, they're hairless. They look like a hairless cat or dog, and it almost looks like a mini cow. And the one I held, all of them have like a little patch of hair here. It's so adorable, and they're very Pacific animals. So anyways, connect to something that's very joyful to you. It could be video games. It could be a particular movie or music, a stuffed animal, a book, whatever it is. Connect to that and practice because you'll feel your heart opening and you'll feel your feelings shift. And if it's something new to you, it's simply just practicing a little bit every day. I also got here, there's an element of purging with tears and anger, which will transform into love. So when you've been holding on to a lot of emotions and pain for a long time, it's like having a closet and you've stuffed all the jackets in there and you're like, I can't, this closet is gonna explode. And you finally open it and everything just busts out. It's like that here. So as you're working through healing and working with your heart chakra, you will feel potentially like moments of purging, of like a dam being released, which is normal. So inner child work here may be very important for some of you and something that you may be called to do, especially if you've ever felt invalidated or negated as a child or growing up as an adult in different ways or different seasons of your life. The best way to rectify this is to honor yourself. And this could be hard, especially if you've sought external approval, praise, validation from others. This lunation is about going back to self, as the spiritual journey is, and honoring who you are, even if other people are like, what? So if you want others to see you, you gotta see yourself first too. So this was the overall message for this lunation, you all. In summary, I just want to say this is really about letting go of an old identity that you no longer resonate with. You felt like it's dying, it's gone, it's expired. It is part of my old life or whatever time you want to relate it to. And you are moving on to something different. But this lunation really calls about honoring those feelings and processing those emotions and really allowing yourself to feel, because that's where the goal is feeling it and then letting it go and releasing that, because this lunation is about releasing as it is simultaneously to churning or fomenting that new identity, that new shift where you want to put your energy and what you want to go towards next. Because as your values change, your identities shift, and the values and the goals that you take in are going to be different too. So obviously the output, what it is you make progress toward and do, is going to be different as well. You all, I hope this lunar video helped. Comment down below and let me know, what are you intending for this full moon in Leo? What are you hoping to release? What new version of yourself are you releasing? And I will tell you, I am releasing doing things just because I think other people like them, like tarot videos for each sign. I've been so vocal about this with myself, and I just feel so called to do more content relating my own experience, and I've just been getting signs. And again, you're not alone if you're feeling scared, if you're feeling like, oh, I have no idea where I'm going. We're all in this. I wish you a beautiful lunation of healing, of joy, of massive heart opening, and I will see you soon. Take care.